In 2024, South Korea's latest zombie blockbuster The Sin arrives with a thrilling impact. This film breaks the traditional zombie movie conventions of South Korea. Not only does the movie depict the intricacies of human nature, but it also features suspenseful twists and turns. Until the very last moment, you won't be able to guess the film's ending. Without further ado, let's start watching. Seong is a newly graduated college student. Through a friend's introduction, she successfully secures an audition opportunity for a new drama. The audition is held in an abandoned building in the wilderness. New to the scene, Seong follows the assistant director to the building and waits outside. However, just as Seong is about to start her audition, an eerie bell rings. Before she could even question it, the director emerged from the building. Seong was just about to go up and say hello when a woman suddenly leapt down from the upper floor. Seong is so frightened that she falls to the ground, and upon closer inspection, she realizes that it was just a mannequin. It turns out that director Woo-wook's team was using the mannequin to test the camera effects. Relieved that it was a false alarm, Seong composes herself and begins her audition. Having practiced for many days, she gives her all in her performance before Woo-wook. After 6 takes, Woo-wook acknowledges Seong's excellent performance. At that moment, the building's exhaust fan starts malfunctioning, creating a loud noise that disrupts the shoot. Female staff member Park Young goes to the electrical room to check the situation. As she adjusts the circuit breaker to turn off the fan, a figure flashes past her. Curious, Park Young follows and discovers an incredibly eerie spell painting on a white wall. Meanwhile, the filming officially begins. Seong moved her entire body passionately, her wild dance making her appear powerful, like a beast bearing its fangs. As she danced fervently, another actor, Chae-yoon, joined in. With Chae-yoon's graceful dancing, Seong seemed to be enchanted, moving towards the rooftop and then leaping off. Fortunately, it was all just an illusion for Seong. When she snapped out of it, Seong suddenly saw a group of people on the rooftop of the opposite building, painting a creepy spell. It seemed as though they were summoning something. Meanwhile, the assistant director, noticing that Park Young had not returned to the set, went to the electrical room to find her. Unexpectedly, Park Young stabbed him in the neck with a sharp weapon. Elsewhere, all the crew members found that their phones had suddenly lost signal. As they searched for a signal, the blood-covered Park Young suddenly appeared. Ignoring the shocked screams around her, she climbed up to the edge of the rooftop. Suddenly, she turned her head and looked directly at Seong. The prop guy downstairs had no time to react to what had just happened. Lying in a pool of blood, Park Young suddenly twisted and stood up in a bizarre posture. The prop guy was then bitten to death. This scene terrified everyone present. Seong followed Woo-wook and the others into the building. Intending to escape, some of the crew decided to stay on the rooftop to wait for rescue. Meanwhile, Woo-wook's group heard a loud noise from upstairs while halfway through their escape. As they were about to leave quickly, Woo-wook stopped them, insisting on turning on the camera and heading upstairs despite their protests. Chae-yoon, standing nearby, noticed an eerie red light flashing from the surveillance camera in the corner. This discovery sent a chill down everyone's spine, because the building had been abandoned for many years. The surveillance cameras couldn't possibly be functioning. At that moment, another loud noise echoed, and Woo-wook's group, gathering their courage, opened the emergency exit door at the stairwell. They saw the assistant director, covered in blood, standing in the hallway. The group hurriedly pushed the door shut. Soon, there was a violent banging on the door. They used whatever they could find to barricade the door and then ran towards the first floor. However, someone had used numerous metal cabinets to block the hallway on the first floor, leaving only a narrow gap barely big enough for a person to squeeze through. The group hurriedly climbed over the cabinets to escape. Just as Seong climbed onto the cabinet, she heard Woo-wook scream below. As the screams drew closer, they rushed to escape. When they finally reached the entrance, they found that the once open door had been chained shut. The door was covered with animal carcasses. The man tried to run to the gate first. He was going to climb over the wall to leave when he was tackled to the ground. Though the zombies nearby were chained, the situation was still dire. In that critical moment, Seong seemed to be under a spell, staring intently at the man. Suddenly, the man broke free from the zombies, grabbed a nearby iron rod, and beat the zombies to death. However, by then he had already been infected. Seeing the dire situation, the team leader took the iron rod and decisively killed the man as well. The team leader then ran off without looking back. It was evident that the chains and the locked door were intentionally placed by someone. Realizing this, Seong and Chae-yoon didn't dare to stay any longer and quickly followed the team leader. In the panic, Chae-yoon accidentally falls to the ground and desperately asks Seong for help, but he only leaves her with a cold and indifferent back. Soon, Seong and the team leader reached the parking lot and found a car left by the staff. As soon as they got in the car, a swarm of infected people immediately attacked. The team leader accelerated, running over the infected and driving away to escape. However, as they drove into a nearby forest, a creepy man with his head wrapped in a white cloth suddenly appeared. When Seong woke up again, she found the team leader slumped over the steering wheel, his head covered in blood. Seong quickly climbed out of the car, intending to run to the nearby containers, but the dying team leader begged her to save him. Seong glanced at the team leader but hurriedly walked away. As Seong left, a horde of infected swarmed the car, and the team leader was eaten alive. However, Seong's situation wasn't any better. She was soon surrounded by the infected. Unarmed, Seong could only cover her mouth, hoping not to be discovered by them. Just then, strange music played in the distance, and the surrounding infected seemed to be summoned, rushing madly toward the source of the music. Shivering, Seong finally breathed a sigh of relief. However, at that moment, a hand suddenly covered Seong's mouth. Terrified, Seong turned around to see Waiwook, who was supposed to be dead in the building, standing in front of her unharmed. Waiwook explained that he pushed the assistant director out, allowing him to barely escape. Seeing Waiwook's relaxed demeanor, Seong questioned if he knew the truth behind everything. Realizing he couldn't hide it anymore, Waiwook confessed everything to Seong. He explained that a few months ago, an elderly woman approached him with a large sum of money, asking him to make a movie that would summon the dead. Initially, Waiwook thought she wanted a promotional video for some cult and didn't want to take on the project. But given the substantial payment, Waiwook decided to shoot the film. Seong's dance wasn't just a regular dance, it was a ritual to summon the dead. Waiwook hadn't expected the ritual to actually work. Seeing the situation spiral out of control, he just wanted to escape. As Waiwook prepared to open the door and leave, with the light of the torch, Seong saw that the person coming was a policeman. Just when she thinks she's finally saved, the policeman puts a gun to her back and walks out. It turned out these containers were a secret base where the local crime boss hid his flower. The crime boss mistook Seong and Waiwook for undercover journalists, which is why he had his men kill Waiwook. As the crime boss was about to deal with Seong, the cops suddenly noticed some movement in a nearby wrecked car. He saw the team leader, now turned into a zombie, and urgently called everyone over to check it out. Seizing the moment, Seong dashed into the forest. The crime boss tried to shoot her but missed due to his poor aim. He ordered the others to chase her, but as he examined his gun, Seong ran desperately. However, she couldn't outrun the cop, who soon caught up with her. Just as the cop was about to take Seong back, the mysterious man appeared again, shooting the cop and knocking him out. The mysterious man looked at Seong but didn't harm her. Suddenly, the cop, lying on the ground, shot the mysterious man in the chest. The mysterious man quickly turned and shot the cop in the head, killing him instantly. This scene left Seong, who was sitting on the ground, utterly terrified. At that moment, Chae-yoon suddenly arrived and pulled Seong to her feet. Instead of holding a grudge against Seong for abandoning her earlier, Chae-yoon continues to flee forward with Seong. They soon arrived at a gas station. Chae-yoon handed Seong a bottle of water and said she had called the police. Seong drank the water greedily but quickly passed out. When Seong woke up again, she found herself tightly bound to a chair, surrounded by people with white cloths on their heads. It looked like a trial. A woman with a white cloth over her head walked towards her and, without any explanation, shot Seong in the heart. But in the next second, Seong did not die. The woman then pulled off the white cloth from her head and revealed the reason behind everything to Seong. The woman was Chairwoman Yoon, and she had an outstanding nephew named Junhee. In middle school, Seong fell in love with Junhee and confessed her feelings in a love letter, but Junhee rejected her. Unable to handle the rejection, Seong viciously cursed Junhee to die in a car accident. Unexpectedly, Junhee indeed died in such an accident. Overcome with grief, Junhee's mother committed suicide by jumping off a building. Seong, however, was taken away by her own mother. Initially, Chairwoman Yoon believed her nephew's death was just an accident, until Chae-yoon found her. It turned out that Seong had a strange phenomenon since childhood. Wherever she went, people around her would inexplicably encounter accidents. Chae-yoon's sister was also cursed to death by Seong. Through her investigation, Chae-yoon discovered that Seong was actually the child of Satan, which was why she brought misfortune to those around her. This was the reason Seong's mother constantly transferred her to different schools. However, no matter where Seong went, people would die mysteriously because of her. As Seong grew older, the number of people she killed increased. She always maintained an innocent appearance, making all the deaths around her seem like accidents. Unable to bear her child becoming such a monster, Seong's mother tried every possible way to kill her, but it seemed that Seong was protected by Satan, as no method could harm her. In despair, Seong's mother drove off a cliff with Seong in the car, but only she died. Seong survived. Meanwhile, to completely eliminate Seong, Chae-yoon researched through a cult and found a method. Only by using a dark ritual to summon the dead could Seong be truly killed. So, Chae-yoon and Chairwoman Yoon teamed up and sought out the film crew's Waiwook. They lured Seong into their trap, meticulously setting up everything within the building in advance. The talismans and formations were all arranged by Chairwoman Yoon, aimed at delivering a fatal blow to Seong. The infected people were actually possessed by evil spirits, which made them act like zombies. By the time Chairwoman Yoon finished explaining everything, the dark rituals within the building had been completed. All they had to do was wait for the evil spirits to claim Seong's life. At this point, Seong was coughing up a lot of blood, realizing that she was truly going to die. She desperately begged Chairwoman Yoon to spare her, but the pain of losing her nephew and sister was unforgivable, and Chairwoman Yoon felt the same way. Chairwoman Yoon ordered her men to place the speakers next to Seong. Then she left with everyone else. As the music played, all the infected in the building rushed towards Seong. With Seong being torn to pieces, Chairwoman Yoon went to the rooftop. Chae-yoon was dancing, as she needed to send the evil spirits back to the underworld. Chairwoman Yoon thanked Chae-yoon for everything, but Chae-yoon coldly replied,
죄를 지었으면 벌 받아야죠. 그뿐이에요.
After Chae-yoon left, Chairwoman Yoon seemed to be under some curse, and without hesitation, she shot herself. Back home, Chae-yoon stared blankly into the mirror, but the reflection showed Seong's face. It turned out that at the gas station, Seong hadn't actually passed out. She overheard Chae-yoon contacting someone outside, planning to kill her. Realizing her plan was exposed, Chae-yoon grabbed a nearby fire extinguisher to kill Seong, but it seemed Seong was protected by something, and no weapon could harm her. Seeing this, Seong quickly got up and knocked Chae-yoon to the ground. Then they swapped souls. Thus, Chae-yoon took Seong's place and left this world forever.